In today's episode, we're sculpting this, which means we're carving this into this. We'll show you how we do it, work some mad detailing magic, recap our sculpture, and dazzle you with breathtaking cinematics. Looking for top 5 entertainment in just 40 minutes? Then park it right here and stick around. Hey, good morning, good day, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, City Sculptor, and you have made your way back to Pengasas Bay. It's a beautiful day in the bay, and we can see it all from up here. This is a great bird's eye view, if you will, of the bay. And the reason we're doing this today is because we want to do something a little bit different. This is episode number 15, and we've come a long way, and we've got a long way to go. But we did have a couple of viewers reach out to us and ask, hey, Sculptor, can you show us where we've been? Where did we start, and where did we go, and where are things going? Just so we get a good feel for what's happening here in Pengasas Bay. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to do that. Episode 15, kind of a milestone episode. Hard to believe we're this far into the series. But it's really turning out really nicely, and it seems like a good time to just take a stroll down memory lane. So we're going to do that today. We're going to go episode by episode and just call out some of the highlights of what we've done along the way. And then we're going to talk about some of our future builds a little bit. And then we're also going to do another build out, just a really modest build out, some forestry and farming industry down back by Gateway Village. If you recall, we built out some farms and forestry in Gateway Village, episode number 2. And then in episode 12, we came back in and ripped them all out because we redid some freeway and in preparation for our Baypass Tunnel. Well, today we're going to put all that back. So it'll be a quick little build at the end, and it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully something kind of cute. All right, guys. Well, I just threw a ton at you, and I'm looking forward to just taking this little walk down memory lane with you guys. And with all that as a backdrop, let's do this. Now, this is our starting square for episode 1. And episode 1 was a kind of a comedy of errors of me learning how to play the game, building and demolishing and starting all over again. And we ended up ultimately building this area down here called Liggett's Curve. Now, there was a bridge that used to connect with the mainland. We demolished that. We built out Liggett's Curve, and then we established this freeway entrance that came all the way out here across Roughneck Isle and back to the mainland. So there was a lot of infrastructure that went into episode 1, and then it was, just kind of learning how to do some of the building down in this space. We also experimented with our very first ever quay wall down here, and instead of using a road, I used a sidewalk, and to my amazement, it worked. And it worked well. There you have it, episode 1. Making our way along the shore, we get to Gateway Village, the subject of episode 2, where we built in our immigration district. We put in a passenger harbor down along the shore, and our first little marina down in here with some nice little jetties that come out, decorative piers, if you will, to frame up our marina district. And then we had this big, beautiful plaza that runs right through the middle of the neighborhood here. And we framed that up with European-style row homes and pivoted to North American-style row homes. We put all of our services down there along the rail line, including our new railway station, and got our first taste of specialized industry with our stone quarry over here. Episode 3 takes us out to Roughneck Isle, where we did our first industrial build. This was a really kind of a funky little build, something I hadn't ever done before. I wanted to do industry, but I wanted to do something that was a little futuristic. So we laid out a lot of different interesting patterns and road layouts in this space. We also got to mess around with the oil industry down here in this space. And, we've got a lot to learn. Probably in do-over world, I would do this a little differently. We put in a big gas power plant up on the ridge here, and we put in our first cargo station. Oh, we also put in this neat little train trumpet interchange, and then we added some more farming down here along the shore. Episode 3. Making our way down to the freeway here, this is the subject of episode 4. And we did a relay of our freeways and our rail line coming through this space. We pulled it back from the shore over here. We pulled it back from the shore over there. And then we put in a few beautiful new interchanges. This offset trumpet, which is a nice inviting entrance into Pengasas Bay. And then we put in this modified, I'm going to call it a dumbbell park-low interchange. We've got a dumbbell interchange that meets a park-low, and it offered a really decorative piece. It allowed me to kind of play with all of the in-game mechanics and really do something that was a little unique and different. We've got retaining walls and lots of beautiful plantings in there. So that was a lot of the infrastructure. Oh, and lest I forget, we actually made our first train tunnel that dipped underneath the water coming over here that goes right underneath our channel, making its way across to the other side. Episode 4. Now coming back into this space, You have the Pengasas Bay Yacht Club, the subject of episode 5. And this one was a lot of fun. We just did a lot of different techniques and build styles in this space. And of course, you got to start off with the Yacht Club, right? With our decorative sculpture of 3 different ships heading out to sea in the wake that's behind it. The Yacht Club itself, featuring the Rock Musicians Mansion and this beautiful oval interchange here, tennis courts and a pool. Frames it up nicely. And then we put in these piers that stick out, and it was my first attempt to play with the roads, making key walls there. An interesting little build. And then we dotted in a couple of neighborhoods here with some row houses, medium density houses, and mixed use housing, and then of course some medium and tall. And I want to make sure that you see the layering here that goes up that hill. So it was a really nice little build effect. We had a college, we put in a high school, and we put in our shopping district down over here with a whole variety of commercial shops and a beautiful plaza running down the middle of it. Episode 5. Moving right along to Crystal Point, and Crystal Point was the subject of episode 6. Episode 6 was a build inspired of Northern California, where they have these big salt harvesting basins along the San Francisco Bay. And we tried to replicate something similar to that in this space by using a variety of different textures. We used our stone quarry, we used our landfill, we used some farming, and we also used some oil in here to create this kind of this quilt of different colorful patterns out here. And you can see we had saltwater retention ponds that allowed to pump that salt water into the basins and then have the salt evaporate, and then it's harvested. Now, we also dropped in some industry back in here using a technique where we used smaller buildings. I was hoping to see fewer smokestacks. That doesn't appear to be the case. And once upon a time, there was a rail yard in here, but that was subsequently moved in a different episode. Moving right along into Hickory Heights. Hickory Heights was the subject of episode 7, where we built out this big, beautiful residential neighborhood. We started off by putting all of our services down here on our lowest tier, right along this little retaining wall that we carved out here. And then we stepped up behind it and put in these neat little neighborhoods that featured row homes and European-style mixed use, just to kind of create quaint little spots. And then we stepped up to the next level and put in a soccer field and some medium-density homes, and then a lot of low-density residential at the base of this hickory forest, offering splendid views of the Pengasas Bay. And lest I forget, this episode also featured our Pengasas Bay parrot. For episode 8, you would be looking at the subject of our build, but we moved it. Episode 8 was the rail yard redo, in which we did just that. We brought our rail yard over to the edge of the map, we added a second one in, and then we tried to decorate it up a little bit so it wasn't such an eyesore. But we did have an eyesore in that we've got this big incineration plant that we dropped in. Garbage was really starting to pile up in Pengasas Bay, and we were exporting a lot of it, so we wanted to take care of that. We dropped in this big server farm right along the freeway here and nestled in along the shore of the river. And then to complete the build, we built out the Hickory Heights Transportation Station, which featured this big, beautiful train station down here. And then you've got your bus station here, complete with taxi stands. And you can see it's getting a lot of use. There are a lot of passengers milling about in this big, beautiful plaza. We connected it up to Hickory Heights, and then we also connected it up to one of our next episodes as well. Moving up the hill to University Village, this was the subject of episode 9, and we unveiled a new faction in this episode, the Erudition Coalition. They made a huge contribution to get this university off the ground, and we're happy that they did. We've got the cathedral at Notre Dame that sits right in the center of this university, and it's a big, beautiful, elegant piece. And then we've got all of our sports facilities over in this space over here, and then all of our academic facilities over in this space over here, including a health research institute and the Geological Research Center, along with our big, beautiful university with the plaza and the library. Making our way down across the arterial road, you've got all of your off-campus student housing. Plenty of housing options for students, whether that be apartments or homes, and lots of parking and easy access to the transportation station over here to the east, and then also, of course, to the campus to the north. Making our way over to Crestwind Farms, the subject of episode 10. And Crestwind Farms was built to help really address our agricultural needs for the city, and I think we did a great job there. We also brought in a lot of little decorative farms, so let's take a look at those. We've got our little vineyard down here along the hillside, and then we've got a fallow farm here because you want to make sure you give the land a chance to refresh and replenish. We've got a little flower farm down here, and here we've got a little vegetable farm featuring some cabbages, maybe some broccoli, and I don't know, those are looking like they're turnips. And then if we come down over here, remember, this is full of foods. And then we've got a little vegetable garden down here. And then making your way over here, we've got our apple orchard where they were, if you remember correctly, they were processing apple cider in here, pressing it and storing it in those tanks, rushing it off to market. And then, of course, we've got our dairy building up on that ridge up here. This was a unique building, giving us additional pluses to the whole city. And then our strawberry field. Who could forget the strawberry field? The strawberries are looking fresh. They're ready to be picked. Episode 10. Making our way along to episode 11. Crestwind Cape. And Crestwind Cape featured this office park that's right down along the shoreline where we used a technique to put in that retaining wall that got that level of that road just a little closer to the level of the water. And that turned out really nicely. We put in our farmers market down here, as this was part 2 of the Farm to Market series. And you've got pedestrian roads that make your way all around there, and you can see the tram network starting to show up here in Pengasas Bay. We dropped into botanical gardens, and then we relocated an old castle from a different part of the map and built out this beautiful amphitheater. We then turned our attention to our residential part of the build, and that was featuring our low-density residential buildings right along the waterfront, stepping up to our European-style row homes, stepping up again to our North American-style row homes, and then stepping up again to our condominium towers sitting up on top of that ridge. So we offered multiple levels of elevation and spectacular views of Pengasas Bay. Now, lest I forget, we also put in that tram network, and we built our tram depot down here along the freeway, and we got ourselves set up for it, threading that tram network all throughout Hickory Heights, into downtown, and parts beyond. The Baypass Tunnel was the subject of episode 12, and here you see our massive infrastructure project that runs these 2 freeways and this rail line down underneath the bay as they make their way back to the mainland on the other side. We also included in this build toll booths and a brand new trumpet interchange, the Baypass Tunnel. Interchange Ridge was the subject of episode 13, where we took an oddly shaped parcel of land and created an office park here on the right side and commercial and residential on the left. Our office park featured low-rise office buildings just nestled right above the freeway and a massive server farm to increase network productivity in the whole area. Our commercial district featured this big corner anchor supermarket right down here in this space, and we had some medium density residential towers, some row homes down here along our bus station, which appears to be getting a good workout. The rest of our residential space back here featured a community gardens and soccer field, and just elegant plantings all throughout. North Amundsen was our most recent episode, episode 14, that featured a wide variety of building techniques and applications. We created a townhome village here using a zigzag style of European row houses, and then we stepped up to some medium density residential here just across the rail line. We built in this beautiful office park here nestled between that rail line and this here arterial street. And then jumping across the rail line, we have this commercial district with some pedestrian roads and some tram service running through there when that goes active. We also have this nice little bus depot down in here that services this medium density residential neighborhood right back up in here. And then, of course, we've got our walking gardens with elevated pathways and some surface pathways, a great place for a picnic. We've got some more medium and high density residential buildings in this space here as we start to creep up to downtown. And then, of course, our office plaza sits up atop this ridge with a lot of low density offices and unique building Principus right here on the edge, and this tall office tower getting ready to look into downtown. Episode 14. Now that we've talked about where we've been, let's talk about where we're going. We're going to put a downtown in this space down here featuring beautiful waterfront properties and a skyscraper motif. Then we're going to build a cargo harbor down here in this space, giving us access to lots of goods coming in and out of Pengasas Bay. Moving right along to the east side of town, we've got our rich ore deposits down in this area here. So I see a big industrial build coming in to this space. And then returning from where we came, the very first start of the area is our Consular District. And so we'll have to make sure to build out a beautiful seat of government for this space and all the surrounding areas of Pengasas Bay. Okay, we still have to get to that build yet today, and that's going to happen down in this space here. We're going to be building out that forestry and that farm area down in this space, and I think we should jump right in and do that. Let's make that happen. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to create access to this forest, this little woods back here, and that farmland over there. And I think the best way to do that is to spring off of this couplet road that runs right along the shore there. But before I do that, I want to come down here by my toll booth, and my intent is to create gravel roads that kind of run parallel, or I guess, is it parallel or perpendicular? Well, I don't know. You're going to find out. This way is what we're doing. We're going to run out about that far there, and then I can come back in here and cut that gravel road off. And then I want to use this as my anchor point to get back over into this couplet road there. And I want to kind of follow along that freeway. So what I'll do is I'll grab my 2-lane road, turn on my contour lines, and then I'm just going to run right straight across here. And yeah, I mean, that'll be kind of chaotic. You're running across 2 different rail lines there, just right quick, but I think it'll work out just fine. And then let's come back down over here to this couplet, and I think we're going to have to come in now and take out those sidewalks. We put those in just for decoration way back in episode 2. And let's attach a 2-lane road now to this this couplet system here. Maybe, let's see. Yeah, let's get out here so that it's not interfering with the contours. We'll run it straight out here. If we can get it to 90, there we go, 90-degree angle. And now I can come in and turn off those street lights so we don't bottleneck traffic. And then we're going to grab that road. And I think I just want to turn on the complex curve. We'll run out. Let's do this from above. We'll run out about halfway. Yeah. And then we'll run up here, connect to there, and then snake that back in. And it creates a nice gentle curved road that runs all the way up along over to the other side of the railroad tracks. And now we can spring off of those railroad tracks with a gravel road, just kind of coming out here, just a regular curve. Let's come out with a regular curve, nice and smooth, and line it up with our railroad tracks. And now we can build this road to come out here along those railroad tracks. So we've created access now to the opposite side of the railroad tracks. And we have a nice good sized road that we can spring off into our agricultural land. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to create some interest in here. And I'm going to do that by grabbing a pathway here. And I want to create the semblance of a little stream bed down here. So let's put on parallel mode, and I'm going to put on the continuous curve. I want to start maybe somewhere up in this area with just a path. And we're going to spring off of here. We're going to go along so, and then we'll kind of come along with a nice gentle curve, and maybe we'll bring it back a little this way, tighten it up and come back this way, and just kind of meander our way down along here through this farm space, and maybe we'll tighten it up and have it snake back on itself, come back around, and then make its way kind of into here. And we're going to use that as just kind of creating like a little stream. We'll do that by coming in with our shift terrain tool. We've got our brush strength down at 25%. We'll right click down in there. And then I want to grab one of those elevations if I can and just try and force that down a little bit. Doesn't look like it's going to go down very far. So let's do this. Let's push that down. Let's push another one down over here. Let's just see if I can connect those via the slope terrain tool. Maybe not. We'll just find out though. This one comes down. No, it's not going to make it very deep, but that's okay. That's okay. That's the effect that we're going for. We just want to create just a little stream bed, if you will. So we'll just work our way down along through this creek bed. And maybe it's a creek that is only flowing during certain times of the year when, it's the rainy season. But if we do this all the way down along and kind of out to this area here, we can then come back in and decorate it with some little bushes and shrubs. You can drop those in there just kind of at random here and there, just for decorative purposes, of course, and just make it look like it's a little wild creek bed that runs right through the middle of the farming area. Yeah, I think that's going to look really quaint. And with that little creek bed in place there now, I think what we can do is come in and build out our road network. I'd like to take just like a 2-lane road and run that, maybe sort of along the railroad tracks, maybe get it as close as I can, and yet still be able to drive into the center of this little notch back here. So maybe it comes out from here, come right about there. And the reason I want to do that is I need to get over this little creek bed, and I want to do so with a little 2-lane wooden covered bridge. I think that would be really cute. So if I turn on my guidelines for this particular road, put it right down the middle, if you will, we got to get lined up with the centerpiece. And I know I've got to raise this up. I think it's got to be about 6.25 meters to get over this creek bed. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a real big bridge. Okay, so let's turn off those snaps now. Just go straight across, and yeah, I think something like that's good. Yeah, that's gonna be cute. And then what we can do is just run right straight up with like get this land pushed up just a little bit there, and then do the same thing on the other side. We'll just grab let's say that elevation, push that up on this side, make sure we've got it set here. We can come back now and maybe cut this back just a little bit. And now we can trim that back and slope up to that. And it should be a nice gentle slope. We'll just run that right up. And can we attach that bridge? Bring it up to here, and then we can jump up like that. Yeah, that'll be better. All right, so now we're going to run this back out here as well. Bring it up to about there, and then we'll just have it connect up to the bridge again. Yeah, I mean, how does that look? It's just a cute, quaint little country bridge with a little meandering stream underneath it. Yeah, so let's now reattach to this road over here. And we've got a little space in which to do that. We can take our 2-lane road, put it on complex curve, run out, let's call it about 70 meters or so. We'll have that come out into this space here, and then have it snake right back into here so it's squared up good. You got 78 meters on one side, 82 on the other. That seems pretty good. We'll just put that right into that space there. And what we've done by curving that around too is I think we've steered clear of much of the fertile land. Yeah, we really did. We put the bulk of it on the right side of it, so I think we're in good shape there. All right, so now with those roads in place, let's put in some roads that get us into the farms. And I would start by using a gravel road. I'm going to come right straight down off of here, and I'm going to bring that down about maybe 80 meters or so, and then come out another 80 meters. Yeah, let's do that. And then from there, I think I want to just drop it down. Well, yeah, maybe coming out about this far and just drop this straight down so it gets close to that creek bed down there. And now I've got spots for maybe 3 different farms. Let's start with our first one. We're going to put a, let's see, grab specialized industry, grain farming, and I want to put it right in here. There's lots of grain to be had. So we're going to do that. We're going to drop that one in there. And then I think maybe what I'd like to do is extend this road just a hair more so that I can drop in another farm in here. It's just going to fit in there. I'd like to get this gravel road and bring it right back up a little bit and then anchor a farm off of that on the inside. There you go. Oh, don't disappear. Okay, there you go. Now you notice I didn't paint in all of the agricultural land yet, and there's a reason for that because I want to create some character in here. And I'm going to do that by once again grabbing our pathways. And I want to do something like this where I just kind of, here, let's turn off that. I want to come out maybe like so, and then diagonal out to here. Let's see if I bring this out to this road, and then I come back in here and just kind of create a gap, cut that off. All right. And then let's come on this side over here. And if we create another road that, or like a path that comes out like so. In fact, maybe I'll make this one shorter this time. Jump across. And you might be asking why I'm leaving the gaps. Well, I'm going to be threading that farmland through all that. And so I think what we're going to ultimately have is just a couple of different interesting looking shapes. So let's see, from here, if I can run it across here to that, and then I'll come in here and I'll, once again, just kind of cut a little notch there, maybe cut a little notch there. I don't know. We'll see how this all turns out. All right, so now what we can do is I can grab the area, specialized industry area tool, and start moving this farmland around. So why don't you sit tight? Let me paint this in and I'll show you what I mean.
All right, so there you go. So that's the kind of the look I'm going for. Now I can just come in here and delete these little paths that we put in here. And it's going to leave some interesting spaces in here where I can come in now and just plant some trees. Okay, now let's turn our attention on the forestry industry over here. I think I want to do the same thing that I did over in the farmlands area. I want to make a little creek bed again, just to give us some interest over here. And then I'll do the opposite approach as I did in the farmland, where I was dropping in a bunch of bushes and shrubs. This way, I'll clear stuff out. We'll come back in and we'll lower that. But you know what I'm going to do in that process, though? I'm going to take out all the trees that are going to be in the middle here. And I can do that during the detailing time lapse. I don't need to force you guys to sit through and watch that. I'd like to, there's a couple things I want to do. I want to create like a little, maybe like a little square in here of about, maybe about 32 by 32 by 32, like a little square in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a farming industry, not farming, I'm sorry, a logging forestry industry to that little square here. Hopefully we don't go into invisible mode there. Yeah, okay, good. That worked out just right. And then I want to drop in, let's see here. I want to put in like a little rectangle down here by the train station. And that little rectangle is going to have, let's go maybe about 104, come out 56. Oh, we better put angles on. Yeah, something along this line here. And that I'm going to clear out. I'm going to take all the trees out of it, so on and so forth. And I'm going to use that to create almost like a tree nursery in there. So what I would do is I'd come in, and we can pick which tree we want to do, but let's just say for now we're going to use birch. And we're going to come in and just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And so this would be kind of almost like like a little tree nursery in here. In fact, what I'd probably be best served doing is grabbing the wild bushes, because those never really get to a large shape, large size, and they would look, kind of small, like they're always these little sprouts. And then, just have a couple of those, spaced throughout the, throughout the whole area. You've got one here, probably put one over on this side, maybe a couple on this side, because I don't think we're going to do a lot of logging on this side. I think this is going to be more for show. So maybe we'll drop another one of those rectangles in. Something like this. What did we say? It was about a 104 and then a 56 and then back up again. Yeah, like that. We can do that. And then, I probably don't want to go into any further into that, but yeah, just a couple of those here and there where we would have these little nurseries. All right, jump to the other side of the highway there. And, you've got this little nursery patch kind of set up in here. Let's use a complex curve. There we go. Come out 32. We'll come down. And then we'll just go right back into there. Yeah, sure. And then I think what we can do is we can stem off of the center of this little nursery area here. Maybe just come out. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then, hey, if we wanted to, yeah, we could probably even put in another one of these little rectangles back up in here. Maybe 48, maybe a little smaller this time. So maybe this one can be, birch trees, and this one can be the little, or maybe this can be hickories. I don't know. So we've got some variation is the point. And I think that makes for a much more interesting looking logging kind of environment in there. A lot of these gravel roads just kind of winding their way through the forest and so forth. And once we, scrape down that creek bed and make that much more pronounced, you'll be able to see where the trees are and then the gaps in the trees as well. So nice. All right. I like the way that's shaping up.
This is a bit of a funky episode today, but we've got all of our big pieces in place. So let's just jump in and do a detailing time lapse. It shouldn't take very long, and we can meet up here afterwards and recap the sculpture. Okay, enjoy.
All right, welcome back. And I give you the new Gateway Farms and Forestry. This was a fun little build, not a very big build or very complicated for that matter, but a necessity. It was a necessity nonetheless. If you recall correctly, we had put in originally some forestry over here and farms over in that space over to the left back in episode 2. And then when we came back in episode 12 and put in this brand new interchange and freeway pass there to support our tunnel, we tore all of that out. And I thought it was a great opportunity for us to do it all over again and maybe make it a little more interesting. All right, so let's just jump right on in. We start down here, and I put in a couple of these fire watch towers, one over here and one off in the distance by our toll booth. And I think they're a great little addition. They look like little forestry towers, and they sit right up above the trees and allow us to call in a fire helicopter in the event that a forest fire breaks out. So I really like the way that played out. We put in that little dried creek bed there, and you can see it. It's kind of this stark little line that's running through the forestry area here. And we also, as part of that process, used our forestry industry paintbrush there and just made sure we followed that creek bed really well. Gave some respect to that creek bed or that little dried stream bed that's running through there, and didn't encroach upon that. We dropped in this cute little country bridge, and I like that. I think it's pretty sitting in that forest there. And then we've got these little sapling groves here where maybe it's the next generation of trees that are being sprouted and grown so that they can replace and sustainably harvest the forest. All right, let's jump across the highway to the other side. And just to show you, we've got a few more saplings that are in the growth stages here as well. We dropped in a very small little forestry area back in here just to harvest some trees. And then this little, squared off area here too. This maybe acts as a nursery. So if you needed a shrub or a bush or a tree for your home planting, your home garden, you can come in here and make a purchase. So then we jump across to the farms, and this was our big farm, the first one that we did. And as you recall, we had all these little sidewalks that are in here. We removed all of those, put in some plantings and trees and so forth. And it just has this look of, maybe there are some drainage ditches that are making their way through the farm. And then speaking of drainage, you got to have your dry creek bed here, which is a seasonal creek bed, if you will, that allows for water runoff to make its way back down into the bay. And you've got a lot of different bushes and shrubs. And we get in down nice and close here. You can see, that it sits just slightly below the elevation of all the surrounding farms. So it makes it a great little outlet for all of the additional rain runoff that happens in these farms. Put some nice framing in here with these trees that make their way along the boulevard. And then also, we've got some additional trees that kind of frame up each of the farmyards as well. And then back, speaking of trees, we've got these apple trees that are sitting in here. And I thought those were a nice little complement to this facility over here, where perhaps they're processing those into animal feed or maybe even some apple cider. And then you've got this outbuilding here. We've got one here, and we don't have a lot of other ones, maybe two more over there in the distance. And that's because we used a lot of grain and cotton in the planting in this area. So you don't get a lot of outbuildings with grain or cotton. In fact, I don't think you get any. Another cute little country style bridge. And then we put in this factory in here too, because I wanted a little processing factory. Perhaps the grain is being converted into, alcohol or fuel or something like that. And then we got a little general store here on the corner. And I put a gym piece here too, just only because I like the gravel look. I thought maybe that's a little gravel outlot for, trucks to be unloaded and so forth. A nice little general store in here as well. All right, well, that's going to wrap up today's episode. Guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. I sure did have a lot of fun with this, taking a little trip down memory lane and seeing how the game has changed, the neighborhood has changed, our build styles have changed a little bit as we've moved forward through time. It's a lot of fun. Now, just as a reminder, we are a small and yet growing channel, and if you saw something that you liked today, be sure to leave us a comment below. And you know what? You're going to really want to stick around to the end and not miss our cinematics, because we're going to be using shots from all around the city that we've done so far in that cinematic reel. So that should be a lot of fun. And then while you're at it, make sure to chip away at that like button and hammer that subscribe button to stay up to date on all the happenings here in Pengasas Bay and our Grand Vanillica series as well. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to bid you a fond farewell. And until next time, good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.